When did the whole shift happen? When did the whole shift go from hiding to say, you know what, I'm embracing this. This is who I am. I'm good at what I do, and
When
bleep
I was
everybody else.
younger, I was literally called Angela, and there was at one point where I was in like a social studies class, and we're sitting there watching a movie. I think we were watching like Gladiator or something, and this like guy comes out all strong, and some guy shouted out, "Oh, well, that's Angela," and I just remember like crying, like just crying, and after that, like covered my body every single day. Like I wouldn't let anybody see my arms ever. Cause even if it was 100 degrees out, I'd be like sweating in my in my jacket, freaking out, but I didn't want anybody to see my body. So I was a gymnast. So my mom put me in a gymnastics classes. So it was literally just from going to gymnastics like a couple of days a week. And I guess my body just kind of like transformed in that way. That's how my body was built. So definitely more built than most people in school, but it was very different. Yeah, I mean, so part of me really just wanted to be normal. I think instead of what I did is I just hid. Like, so I just hid from everybody instead of like, you know, giving up gymnastics. And then gymnastics became like my happy place where I could go and just be myself and feel like myself. But then other than that, like I would literally just hide from everybody. I thought the shift would happen when I went to college, because I went to college gymnastics and I just assumed I was going to be with people who are all just like me. And I'm like, I'm going to be around people who are like me. But that didn't really happen there either. I still was like the most muscular person on the team. I really think the shift happened when I started doing fitness competitions outside of college. And that's when now you're going on stage and you're showing off your body and your muscles, and it's beautiful. And it was the first time that I was seeing more people around me who like were like, oh my God, we love your body, we love your arms. And I think that that confidence of getting up on stage in those high heels and showing off your muscles really helped to finally transform me. So it really didn't happen until after college that I was really like embracing my body.
How'd you make the shift there? How did you get into fitness? Who was there a role model? Was there somebody who said, hey, try this out instead, or hey, come
Absolutely.
join
So
us,
again,
or come?
starting with college gymnastics, and then when I was in college, I actually wound up tearing my left ACL. I think it was my junior year, and so I didn't really get to do exactly what I wanted to in college. And then I graduated. I was actually a biochemist, so I started off like, you know, lab coat and goggles, biochemistry degree, working at Brown University. And I kept feeling like when I was there that I wanted something more, because I didn't get to I'm not doing gymnastics anymore. What can I do? So I started looking into what was available to me. And I wound up meeting this woman. Her name was Dawn Butterfield. And she used to be really big in the Fitness America competitions. And I saw her doing all this cool, like flipping stuff on stage and stuff like that. I'm like, what's that? Like, I want to do that. Like, I want to flip around and do something fun like that. And then she met with me and she told me all about this whole other world where, again, you're doing the fitness competitions. It's a whole routine, but then you're, you know, going on stage and, you know, doing the posing, which is like way like outside of my comfort zone, honestly, at first. And then she introduced me to Kathy Savage, who used to be on back in the day MTV, like I Want a Perfect Body. She used to do like I don't know if you remember that, but there was this whole segment on like fitness competition. So she introduced me to her, and then when I sat in her office, she literally was like, "I'm sponsoring you, and I believe in you. You're going to do this." And I was like, "What?" And she's like, "Yeah, we're going to compete in a couple of weeks. I'm going to give you some high heel shoes, and let's do it." And I was like, oh my goodness. So this person, like, so Kathy Savage really just believed in me. And then all of a sudden that was it. Like it literally took off from there, because that one person was like, just believed in me so much that I actually started to like believe that like I should do this. So it was pretty cool, because again, I finally had people who were just, you know, encouraging me and just being around everybody who was very uplifting. Everything they were doing is very positive. They weren't just doing fitness stuff too, right? They were like also focusing on other mindset stuff like vision boarding and creating the life that you want and all this different things. We were just meeting up with this group of people. So all this stuff that I didn't really see. So again, I feel like the shift really happened just because people just being surrounded by that and being told like, no, you look great. This is awesome, whatever. It just finally I started to believe in it just by being around it.
Through the whole process, through gymnastics, through school, through college, through fitness, was there one piece of advice that you got that you remember today that says, wow, that really changed everything? Or
I think one of the biggest ones was when, and again, I think it's important to know that you're going to have like really low moments. When I had like one of my lowest moments, I remember a mentor just looking at me and I was fighting it so hard. I was fighting being down in the dumps and not looking strong and like, all these things. And she just said, no, it's okay that you're stuck. Like you can feel that. You can sit there, you can cry about it, you can feel it, but you can't get stuck there. So I think what's important is that when you're going through the journey and you are really, really down, just reminding yourself that it's okay to be down for a second. It's okay that you're having that moment and not try and fight and resist it, instead of like lean in more to it and learn from it. And then, make sure that you get out. It's okay to be stuck, but just not again forever. When you get injured, I tore my ACL in college, and then I tore an American Ninja Warrior in 2010. I mean, I had to close the gym. I mean, I just think you see it repeated over and over again. But now when I see it, I have the tools to understand, like, I almost like embrace it more now. Because again, I used to, like, you get really familiar. You get really familiar with failing, and you get pretty good at it. And then you're able to come out of it quicker and again learn from it, instead of taking it as this awful thing and just keeping yourself down. Some people don't ever come out of it, right? Some people, fail, like they would have failed at the gym or failed and tore their ACL. They'll never come back. They'll never work out again. They'll never try it again. But instead, I lean into it now. But I needed to go through those other moments, and it constantly comes back. And I know it will continue to come back. No, that's okay. Yeah, no, it definitely was the second ACL tear. It definitely was tearing my ACL on national television, because everybody saw you down too. And I think what that taught me is that, again, it's okay to be down, but also you can have a solid comeback from that. And you can really learn from that moment and, again, use that as an opportunity. But that was like really when I was like down in the dumps. For months, like I didn't want to live. Like it was probably the hardest moment. I also learned that, when you're sharing your story and when you are working with people really enjoy that, you overcoming adversity. So sharing it, continuing to share your process and what you're getting through is going to be very relatable. And I think that really, again, led me to my purpose. So I'm very grateful for that moment that I was literally completely down, because it allowed me to see the bigger picture as to what I can do as I come out of that to help people. Because everybody's going through something. We've all got our shit, no matter if you're like, people think you're doing really great. We all have our shit. We all have stuff that we're going through.
What made it so? What was the process like? What was the snap out of the moment that made you say it's time to get back to work? What did you do? And what was like the process?
When I decided to post myself in the recovery process on Instagram, I was literally just like flipping around crutches and trying to like make it fun, even though on the inside I was like falling apart. And then all of a sudden people started responding to me, and they were like, wow, because you posted that and what you're going through is, I decided to get up today, even though, whatever happened, they're like, they had a breakup or maybe they lost their job or something along those lines. And as soon as I took a moment and like stepped back and looked at it, I was like, whoa, hold on. Like there's a huge opportunity here to really help others. Like this actually isn't fully just about me. Like I have an opportunity to show people that I can get unstuck. So I feel like the snapback moment was, again, that one moment, that one Instagram, that one person who messaged me. And all of a sudden I was just like, you know what, here we go. Let's do it. I feel like social media is definitely a great tool if you use it correctly, just like anything, right? And I say this with like assisted bands for pull-ups, right? I'm like not a fan of going on the assisted band for the pull-up, but it is a great tool that you can use. So if you use it correctly, it can really benefit you. If you don't use it correctly and you're setting it instead and looking on it to compare yourself, which is tough because you're seeing a lot of people's highlight reels and stuff like that, right? And you're getting sucked in and you're consuming more than you're creating and you're doing, then I can feel like it can be a bad thing. So I think it's just how you utilize it. I think it's amazing though, because I've been able to connect with now thousands of people who've done my program because of just this phone right here, which is pretty incredible. So I think it can be used in a great way if you use it correctly. But I do think that, yes, if you get sucked in the other way, it can definitely bring you way down.
How'd you become the Oprah of pull-ups?
The Oprah of pull-ups. Yeah. Basically, during this whole process, a lot of people kept coming to me, women, and they're like, oh, you've been on American Ninja Warrior. Like, I just wanted to do a pull-up. So a lot of women just kept saying that. And I'm like, why not? Why can't you do it? They're like, well, it's impossible. Like, I'm never going to be able to do that. And I'm like, no, it's not. Like, it's not impossible. Let's try it. So I started, working with people in person when I owned my gym to get their pull-up. And then when I saw when they did work on it consistently, that they got it, and they were like, everything lit up, and they realized this impossible goal is completely possible. So I was like, I feel like there's an opportunity here. So I looked into like all the other programs they had online for pull-ups, and there wasn't anything that was like welcoming for females, especially. It was all these like intimidating jack guys like doing pull-ups. Like you might see some articles if you look it up. It's just like, all right, this is kind of intimidating and like not actually like what's going to help you get your pull-up. So then I decided that's going to be my mission. I feel like I saw a bigger picture of it not just being about the pull-up. It's about the fact that if they can complete this impossible task, what else can they do? I saw my one client get her pull-up, and now she's running Spartan races, because she saw that something that was impossible was possible for her. Then it's the entire process, right? You're starting from the bottom, which is what we actually we call it in my program. We have a program called Started from the Bottom. Like started from the bottom, now we here, get to the top. And what I like to do in my program is I break it down into little steps. So instead of you thinking I have to get all the way up to the top of the bar, you break it up into, can I just get a hang on the bar? Cool. You can do that. Next step, you're trying to get a slight bend in the elbow. You're not trying to go all the way up. So if you can break up your pull-up like I do in my program, you can break up anything in life like that and take it in baby steps and baby wins and celebrate each little step. Yes, I got a bend. Yes, I got halfway. Yes, I got this. It's literally, you can literally use that same process for anything that you do. So I think that's pretty cool.